Yeah, I think with a lot of eco gifts, it's definitely not a lot actually, but with some eco gifts, especially if you're giving it to somebody who maybe is like you're not most environmentally friendly person or someone that you're introducing into these things, sometimes it can be helpful to pair it with something, because I do think some people are like, I just want to do it my way. But if you give them all the tools, then they're more inclined to be like, okay. So just on the coffee note too, I know everybody loves their Keurigs, but as we've talked about on this show, those little K-cups are really not, they're not recyclable. They're like really bad. And even if you take it out and clean it, it's like, oh, it still isn't what it is. So you can actually buy reusable K-cups, and it literally is just like the size. My old roommate in college had one. It's the only reason why I use the Keurig. And so if you got them a set of those or whatever, and then you either paired it, find out what their favorite coffee grounds are and pair it with that, or find the K-cup brand replacement, or even better, if you know the kind, get them the K-cups and maybe introduce them to fair trade, a new fair trade coffee. That is something is good and, you know, eco-minded. We could talk about fair trade coffee and all this stuff. But just again, something that they might not think to buy for themselves, or they might be more willing to try, having not being needed to be the one to purchase it. So one could do that. You could do the coffee container, the K-cup, and the the fair trade coffee. But yeah, I think doing like you just said, and I think putting things together for people can really also make them more inclined to use it and make them more inclined to continue to do it, because it worked so well and they had everything to start, or like at least like most of the stuff.
Right. Yeah, it becomes part of their own habit or routine, which can be very helpful. You know, another thing, just, and I think that solar charged items are getting better and better all the time. And, you know, having things like a flashlight that's sitting around with batteries in it, just for the time when you need it or the power goes out. One, usually you can't find it, the batteries have gone bad, and, you know, it's not good for the environment. Think about getting somebody, right, a solar powered flashlight or lantern. We got these great solar powered lanterns. We actually got them at REI, and they fold flat. And I was like, really like, I wonder if these are really going to work. We just leave them in the windowsill at the house. And then when we need them for whatever reason, you stretch them out, they unfold. It is a great lantern that provides a lot of light. It can serve as a flashlight. Like if you need to walk around with it, it can sit on a little tabletop to give some light, you know, so you could use it if you have to find something in your dark basement, or if the power goes out, or if you're camping. So I think solar powered items, there are more and more all the time that work really well. So just going to an outfitter store like an REI, like a Patagonia, look at what they have in the solar charging items. There are some things that are really super expensive, but there are also some things like the little lantern I talked about, which is relatively inexpensive, but super, super helpful and works really well. So that can be a really great option. It gives you a reason to go to a local store and look around and buy something, rather than to go online and order something that gets shipped out from a warehouse.
Which you also just gave me the idea. I actually just remembered. I put this on my camping wish list for things that Anneke wants as trying to build my official camping gear. But a lot of times when people go camping, and so I did see this at REI. I don't know if other stores have it. You know, you don't know what your water situation is going to be. And so a lot of times, you know, you go and you buy those like 5-10 gallon things. And I know, and not everybody has the space to keep like the, you know, those giant like football Gatorade coolers or whatever that people put water in. But I saw REI had these drink cubes. So kind of like you were talking how those flashlights collapse. These are like hard plastic collapsible drink cubes. And so I think there's like 3 gallon, 5 gallon. But so if you have campers in your life, or I don't know, people who go on road trips or whatever and want this water, these are these great containers that are similar to the look of those ones that you pick up at the store, at like the gas station before you go camping. that you can just refill at home and then take with you. And then when you're done, just smush them up, and so they're not even taking up space anymore. Yeah, so
That's a great idea. You know what? And that also works for my hotel scenario, because when I'm going to stay at a hotel, unless, when I'm flying, of course I can't do this, but I fill up like every water cup I have, and I put them in a cloth shopping bag and put them in the car. And then when I go to the hotel, I take them all up to the hotel room so that, I don't need any plastic water bottles and all. I'm very self-contained. That would be a great for, again, that kind of person that does a lot of travel. And it gives them an option for getting water that's not out of the bathroom faucet at the hotel room, but maybe from somewhere else. I mean, even if they're traveling by air, they could take that folded up thing. They go there, they go down to the hotel lobby, where often they have like a nice filter jug of water, or you can go into the fitness room where they often have a water filter. Fill up your flattened jug that you've unflattened, and now you have some nice fresh water in your hotel room. That's a really great idea. Anneke, would be a really great gift for me. Just saying.
And I think just in addition goes that being said, always, for people in your life who don't use reusable water bottles, get them a reusable water bottle, please.
ASAP.
Huh?
ASAP. I said ASAP.
Oh yeah.
Come on now. I'm being hip. I'm being mod. I'm being mod. The other thing is, for people with kids, there are lots that, we could go on and on and on about kids' gifts, and we don't really have time for that. But again, the general practice, you kind of taking to heart the advice that Anneke gave in the beginning, go to your friends or family's houses, see what they do in their lives, where they're using something plastic, or throw away, and sort of see if you can find that reusable option. Go to see the kinds of toys or clothing options that people give to their kids. If it's a lot of plastic toys and a lot of that kind of crap, think about getting them just one, because they can be more expensive, but some good quality toy that's made of a reusable material. It's made of wood or cloth or felt. Like, there are lots of great dolls that are made of felt. There's lots of great toys of all kinds that are made of wood, musical instruments, little cars kids can push around. A great thing that you reminded me of, Anneke, that I always had for you when you were young, was lots of just squares of different color silk or fun materials. And you had a whole box of them, and you would take out all these different silks with your friends of all these different colors and use them for dress up. And it was so creative, all the different ways you guys dressed up with these silks, or you would use them to run around and like make rainbows in the air. There are all these incredible ways that just having just a box of materials like that feel good, that are good, nice. Silk is really nice, that lasts long, colorful, that really inspire the creative mind of the child. And it's fun, and it's fun for them. It's fun for you. It's fun to watch. And you'll be really impressed by what kids come up with. So finding, again, toys or gifts made of wood, made of cloth, these squares of silk or material, those are all great options. And on the more practical front, if you have a little bit more money, and you really want to, somebody's open-minded, think about getting somebody cloth diapers. If they're going to have a baby, maybe so it doesn't feel like you're being judgy, you're being helpful, get them 3 cloth diaper covers and 6 inserts for a newborn baby to give to them. It's a great gift, and it instills this idea of, hey, cloth diapers are easy, accessible, usable, and they save money and the environment at the same time. So that's another thing that just to ponder for somebody who's having a baby. Cloth diapers, good quality toy, and you're all hooked up.
I think also on 2 fronts, again, being helpful, and if you have some more money, glass baby bottles are always a good investment for people, really helping eliminating ingesting any of those chemicals that might come in the plastic, especially if the person is, I know a lot of people like throw the milk or formula or whatever in the microwave to heat it up sometimes. So I think the glass, I don't know, maybe you can say about putting in the microwave, but like doing it in glass at least certainly seems better than doing it in a plastic.
100%. I had all glass bottles for you and for Vim. And when I had to store my milk, pump and store it, I would put it in a glass bottle. It would go into the freezer, come out, defrost, and I would warm up the baby bottle in hot water versus a microwave. I think a microwave is scary mainly for getting the temperature wrong. But the glass bottle itself is fine. And these days too, you can get glass bottles with like a silicone sleeve. So if it drops, it feels a little safer for people. So that's also a really good option. That was a really good item to raise, Anneke.
I think also, just before you move on to your next one, on just, it just made me think when you're saying nurturing the creative mind. I remember I had, and I think we gave them away at some of my birthday parties, and they were always a big hit. These big reusable, and I think the part was made of metal, but like bubble wands. So that you don't, especially if you have a child's birthday coming up or somebody with a bunch of kids, rather than, purchasing those tons and tons of those throwaway bubble containers with the little itty bitty tiny plastic wand. Obviously the bubbles might come. I don't know if you can make your own bubbles. I don't actually know how that works, but buying these really cool wands that have, and like the ones we had, like the metal was like all different shapes and everyone had a different one. But you just dip it in the bubble solution and then you make these really big cool bubbles. And I know like my friends and I would do it for hours outside.
That's a great,
that's
a great one. And it is, the wand was made of wood and it was maybe 15 inches long. And then, as you said, on the end was wire that was in the shape of a ball, but all different sort of shapes, very wide open gaps. And then we would make our own bubble solution, and which you can look up. That's easy to do. It's like corn syrup and dish liquid and water. And as you said, make great bubbles. And you just gave me the other. And the other way to avoid cheap plastic crap and wasting your money is not only did I use those bubble wands as the activity at the party. So we went outside, we had a thing of bubble solution, and that was the activity where they played at the party. And that was also the gift that every child got to take home. So it wasn't all this plastic shit in a plastic bag that nobody wanted or would do anything with, but it was this beautiful bubble wand. And they could go home and play on their own or with their friends. So that's another way to do things, is when you're having a party for a child, make one of the party activities something creative and nice like that they can actually take home, and that can be your party favor.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I feel like this is also a good, I don't know, did you have anything else on the new parent or
no
child front? Okay.
You had a good idea on the child, parent, family front. Don't know if you're about to say it.
I think that's what I'm about to say, maybe. I think, coming out of the panorama, the pandemic, the pizzazz, whatever you want to call it, a lot of people got to spend a lot of time with their families. A lot of people are still home with their families. I think it opened up for a lot of people, like the joys of finding fun at home and doing those things at home. And I think, you and I, when we would go over to Oma's, there were a lot of like really simple things that I don't think people think of nowadays because we have all this technology and everybody goes to their different rooms with their different TVs and techno and whatever. But a good, so thinking of things too that get people together, maybe especially if you are at home or if you are living with roommates, something fun for you all to do. That is both eco and good, I think, for the soul, is a puzzle. And getting a puzzle in the mind of, if you have that coffee table that nobody really uses, or that common area that you all just kind of walk by and stand at, or even if it is your dining room table that you don't all do family dinners, but you might all congregate at different times, is just having a really good puzzle that you just put out and you all put your pieces in when you have time. I mean, that was always like when I was little, that was the thing. Whenever I was with my Oma, we would come down. It's always like a really great memory of mine is coming downstairs in our bathrobes. And she always had a special coffee cup for me. And we would just sit and do the puzzle. And there was just always a puzzle on the table. And so even like when you would come over, Mom, or when we would be there with like other family or other friends and everyone's just sitting and chatting and you don't even realize you just end up doing the puzzle. So I think it's a really underrated gift because people think it's like, I get the puzzle, you have to do it. But like, it can just be a really fun thing that you do for months. Just
Yeah.
slowly.
And we have, you know, like our tradition, our family tradition when I was growing up was that every New Year's you would do a puzzle. And you would puzzle all night. And the goal was to get the puzzle done before midnight or before you went to bed. But usually we didn't. And then it would get left out. And that's actually a habit that we've adopted, of course, in our house. But my husband, Dave, your bonus dad, he actually likes to start the puzzling around Christmas Eve. And while we're writing our Christmas poems and doing things. And so around Christmas time, we start to put a puzzle out. And as you said, it just sits around and it can take days. And sometimes the puzzling fever and just having a puzzle around, sometimes it just lasts for days, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's for months, and we just get into that puzzling groove. But it really is, as you said, just a great way to sit down, have a cup of coffee, talk with one another, enjoy each other's company, but not feel like you're quote unquote wasting time because you're doing a puzzle. So that's a great one. The other one that I was thinking about when you were talking about the bubble wand and, you know, being outside, you know, if somebody has a garden, large or small, get them a native plant. Get them a native plant book, get them a coupon for a native plant, right? Native plants are really, somebody has a rich, robust garden, or they're just a startup gardener. A native plant book or a native plant is always a joy. And it's a nice, simple something that you can give that brings joy and color to somebody's life. And they will remember, oh, that's the plant so-and-so gave me, and talk about it, which is really nice.
And I think, you know, in addition to that too, if you have somebody who's already a gardener and like you don't, you know, or just somebody who likes to spend time outside, whatever is a nice reusable, well, I guess they're always reusable, but a bird feeder, and that you can get really cheap ones, you can get really intricate ones. Like there really is one for every kind of budget. I think you could even just get the little rectangle that you put suet in and just buy that and sew it. And that's probably like a $25 gift. That's really thoughtful and really nice that somebody will enjoy forever. And like you just said, like it's something that they're sitting watching, having their coffee and, oh, there's a bird. And oh, didn't that happen because that person bought that gift for me.
Yeah. And a suet feeder is great, you know, and if you want to do a little bit more, you get the suet cage, which is pretty inexpensive, but get them 5 suet cakes. So they're sort of set up for a little period of time, and get them different kinds of suet. That's a really great idea, especially for somebody who likes the outdoors.
And if you're people that like to sit outside at night, like I do, with a good fire, especially, I don't know, especially depending on where you live, but a bat house may not be the first thing, but they are good. They do provide good habitats. We used to have one on the side of our house, and I remember bats would always fly into it. So that's always like a cool thing. Maybe if somebody's a little bit different or likes to be outside at night. The only thing you're not allowed to buy people as a feeder, guys, is hummingbird feeders. Those are bad. The stuff gets bacteria, and I'm just in case somebody's like, oh, I could get that. Don't buy that. It gets bacteria in it, and they get sick, and there's like a whole there. You can read everything about how they're so bad for hummingbirds. Do what my mom said and get them a native plant that's a nice red color that the hummingbirds will enjoy and not get sick.
And I know we're probably at the end of our time, so I just wanted to offer one other thing that I found a couple years ago: a rocket book. Just coming back inside to the office, a rocket book is a pad that you can write on, and when you're done with the page, One, you can take a picture of the writing on it, and the Rocketbook will send it right to a file where you can store it. So you can store your notes. And then two, you can wash it off like a whiteboard, and you can reuse that page over and over and over again. Like it's like a little notebook. They're all different sizes. And I find my Rocketbook really, really helpful. I'm not using a lot of paper, not constantly getting paper and throwing paper away. I just have my Rocketbook. I have my pen. I write it up, take a picture when I need to, wipe it off and use it again. So I found that like a really interesting find, and gave it to a bunch of people, and they all are still using their Rocketbooks.
I think that's a great one. And I think just the big thing with eco gifts too is I think there really is something that you can buy with any budget that you're on. And there's so many places you can get them all. There's so many needs that can be met. And I think, again, you're really opening the door to somebody who does not use that product. So like another quick example, another quick gift, somebody who's like really into skincare or like makeup and they have all their throwaway cotton balls or wipes, is like, I've recently invested in myself, and I actually just got a set of 7 for each of my stepsisters, because I have 3 people in the whole thing. Is a reusable face round, and I use it for my cleanser acid that I put on, and I just put it on there and I wipe my face, done. And then when it comes time to wash them, I just throw them in with an all natural detergent in their little baggie, and they're good to go. And my face is good. I've never had a problem with them. So I just think it's like you're really opening somebody's mind and world, and it's a gift that you could literally spend like $5 on, a reusable bag, and it's something that somebody would use all the time. Or you could spend $45 on this really great lunch kit for somebody, and wow, like now they're set to go in a way that they weren't before.
Oh yeah, the lunch kit we were going to talk about. Getting a reusable lunch box with the cutlery in there, some reusable containers to put their fruits and their nuts or their sandwich or their crackers or their cheese. Vim uses his reusable, he's in high school. Every day he has his little box. He does his little box, his lunch box. He does a little box of his Wassa crackers in there. He slices up a little box filled with slices of cheese using the cheese slicer. He puts in an apple. He puts in his chocolate bar. He puts in his little drink, and that's his lunch, like every day. So I don't know, maybe people are going to judge me for my mothering because of what my son eats, but he's awesome. And that's what he likes. And there's no waste out of that. Well, the only waste out of that is the wrapper for the chocolate bar. And he does it every day. Imagine if he did a throwaway lunch bag and, throw away plastic baggies and plastic this and plastic that every day. It would be a mess. And if you don't want like a little box to put your things in, there are lots of like reusable snack bags and lunch bags and, beeswax paper for food, or cloths now that they make that you can wrap up your sandwich. You have somebody who takes lunch to work, you can go to town making them that great kit. You could even buy a lunchbox with a cool picture on it or a funny message or something that's really simple and elegant, right? And fits their personality. But as Anneke said, you're introducing them into something new. And truthfully, reusing that lunchbox every day is so much nicer than all that throwaway stuff. And it's really easy to clean and take care of. So that's another really great one. I'm glad you mentioned that one, Anneke, before we wrapped up. And the oil spray thing. Dave got me a thing. You know how people do oil sprays in those canisters that require all that compression? He got me a reusable thing. You pour olive oil in it and then you pump spray it. Okay, I'll stop. Because we got ideas just flowing all over the place. But as you can see, there's a gift for everyone. And if you're not sure where to start, go to the craft show, go to a local store. We didn't mention local stores. There are lots of cool little local stores, little kitchen, there are kitchen stores and this store and that store. If you really go to your town center, plan to spend an afternoon, walk around, walk into every store, see what they have there, see what your options are, get some great ideas, look up craft shows in your area, make a point of going to those craft shows. You can get something really unique that somebody will cherish for forever. Or maybe you don't buy it at the store because they don't have exactly what you want. Go on to Etsy, like Anneke said, and find a crafter who can make it for you. Go to your local environmental organization, see if they have an option. So every penny that you're investing in your gift is actually going to a good cause. But there's nothing like walking around to get some great ideas.
I agree. So yeah, I think it's a great thing. There's lots of options. There's literally an option for everybody. And I really don't think that the non-eco people in your life won't do it. Because I will say, as the tree hugger of my friend group, who all my friends laugh at in a fun way, but laugh at everything that I do, and I've literally had the comment made, you have a reusable item for everything. And maybe it's poking fun, but they're really excited when I actually get them the thing, because it's not something they would buy, but because I give it to them, it's it's really useful and it's great. And they all actually use the myriad of items I've got them. So don't be discouraged if you think, oh, they won't like it. There's so many things. Again, if you have somebody that drinks, get them a cup. Somebody who you don't want to spend a lot of money on, a $5 reusable bag. It's literally something for everybody. So yeah, so I think with that, we hope that you go into this holiday season putting your money towards local artisans and artists, your local nonprofits, especially, I'm just going to say, especially think of your smaller local nonprofits. Like a lot of the big, I'm just calling big greens, do great stuff, and that's all wonderful. And I'm not saying don't support them, but don't go right for them. Do a little Googling, see who's around you, see who you might not think of. And yeah.
And hey, for 2 ideas for where to start, www.delawareriverkeeper.org, www.forthegenerations.org. Both of them have gift shops, have some items, good place to consider, good place to start, some great reading materials and or other options. They're not full. We're not stores, but we have some nice items that you might want to consider. You can make a little gift basket of your own by ordering some items from there. Or as Anneke said, Google around or walk around your town. And with that, Anneke,
I think before we go, if you want to give us a gift this holiday season, also wherever you're listening to our show, be sure to rate us highly, donate to either of those organizations that help us do this podcast. And I don't know, if we got it, share it, because if we got enough traction, we can make cool merch or something, just saying. But anyway,
we'll make some green jeans.
JEANS. You never know.
Yeah. Never know.
But yeah, okay. So with that, thank you for listening. Enjoy your gift giving season. Do good things. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.